All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here and watching and listening. And this is Andrew Greenbaum. And I will say, I don't really know much about him. He filled out a questionnaire. Someone reached out on his behalf to come on my podcast. And I'm really fascinated and I want to hear a little bit from him. But I know he is works with the Kabbalah and he's a transformational worker. And so I really am excited to dive in and just understand what all this is. So if you want to,
Well,
Andrew, go ahead and give a little
thanks.
information about who you are, and then we'll just get started.
Thanks so much, Vicki. Well, I was just saying, I'll be visiting Georgia, so I think that's how you met. I'm just meeting all these wonderful people all of a sudden from Georgia. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. So, yeah, my assistant found your podcast and she recommended it to me. So, the reason we're talking is that um, I've made a lot of changes recently in my life. It was a long time coming. Um, as you know, I'm a business coach and consultant. And I've worked in that field for over 30 years, but I kind of came out of the closet, so to speak, about being a spiritual person,
Hmm.
right? A spiritual business coach and using something I've been doing for over 30 years called the Kabbalah, which is an ancient mystical practice. It's something that has brought me a lot of success in my life. I built a bunch of businesses and sold some I've crashed, some I built, some I sold. I've worked with over 4,000 people in coaching and consulting, primarily in the small business space, but also larger corporations and training. I've been a professor, number one ranked professor in business communication, and taught in the largest MBA program. And I did all these kind of businessy things, but I always used mysticism and the things I learned. And I would couch it. I wouldn't call it Kabbalah.
Hmm.
You've heard of the term Kabbalah before?
Hmm.
Okay, right. So it's
Yeah.
pretty popular. It's out there. I didn't want to be out about it because it was kind of weird, right? Kabbalah, mysticism. You're a business consultant. You're consulting for my corporation, and we don't want Kabbalists. We want a business consultant. But about a year ago, I came out of the like what I call came out of the closet about it. Like I'm just going to talk about it freely because it's what I use, and it's what I used even with college students and MBAs.
Hmm.
That's what I was using actually. And so the reason I was the number one professor, not because of the all the business studies I did and the academic work, which I did a lot of, and I wrote a dissertation and blah, blah, blah. It was because I used these ancient principles. And
Right.
so I started a nonprofit last year called
Mm.
Spirituality and Business Institute, where I'm bringing this to the world and seeing that um, these ancient, let's call them spiritual technologies, are what's missing from the world. Um, and it's something what I like about Kabbalah is that it predates religion. It
Right.
started before there were Jews, Christians, or Muslims, or anybody like that. It predates it. It's something, there's a common denominator.
Hmm.
And so it brings people together. And by the way, I have clients who are wouldn't call themselves spiritual. They're atheists.
Hmm.
But just because you're an atheist doesn't mean you can't have spiritual values.
Right.
Good values come from the heart, have morals, have ethics. You don't have to believe in any God or you can believe in 15 gods. It really doesn't matter. What ties us together are these shared values and ethics and morals
Hmm.
and purpose, right? And you talk
Right.
a lot about that. And so, but I want to bring that to the business world because I see that the people who can make changes the fastest are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
We can move fast, right?
Hmm.
Governments, we see politicians, spiritual leaders, it takes them a long time to right this ship. And we see the world's in trouble now. Doesn't
Right.
matter what side of the, political spectrum you are or anything. There's, right? The ocean's getting filled up with plastic. There's a mental health crisis. Workers are getting paid enough. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Wars and everything. And I think entrepreneurs, we have a lot to offer, small business people and founders to make the world right. And it's not weird anymore. It's
Right.
not weird to say, I want to change the world. I want to make money and I want to change the world at the same time. So that's the kind of people I'm working with. And that's my long answer to a short question.
I love it. I love it. And the thing that's interesting too is when you think about it is if entrepreneurs could get their shit together, so to speak, so that they are very prosperous and they're making money enough that it's not just to pay the bills, not just to fix their family, but if they could
Correct.
expand it out bigger, then if every entrepreneur did that, the amount of effect that would have on our entire world would be phenomenal. And so I like to think that there was a stigma a long time ago that if you were spiritual, you couldn't want money, right?
Right.
And so it kind of goes against that. And the truth is that if you're spiritual, you should want more money so that you can spiritually help yourself
Correct.
and others, right? It's
Correct.
very selfish to sit back and say, I just want to make enough to pay
Absolutely.
my bills.
Right, right. And not only that, if you look at, let's say if you're somebody who reads the Bible and knows about the Bible, we know all these people, whether you read the Bible or not, you know all these people like Abraham and Joseph and all these guys and gals, they're
Mm-hmm.
all extremely wealthy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Joseph was the richest, he was the viceroy of Egypt, who was the
Mm-hmm.
richest, right, empire at that time. And he was the guy with the keys to to the bank, to the
Yeah,
vault. He
yeah.
was number two. But yet he's called Joseph the Tzaddik, we call in Kabbalah, the saint. The whole like he was completely a pure, sharing person. He also happened to be the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
So yes, I work with people, it's all, you know this very well, being a coach, it's all our inner blockages that we create
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we come from, whether it's from Catholicism, Protestantism, Judas, we have this, you know, it's been unfortunately beaten into us that money is the root of all evil
Yeah.
when it's not. It's
Yeah.
the love of money that's the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Money is wonderful, as you
It's a
say.
tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. If you want to change the world, I'm working I was just in Guatemala last week, and there's all these wonderful, incredible green projects there, these mines. Like I went to see the second biggest gold mine, and the gold mine actually is all green, everything is lined. The water they bring in to this gold mine, when they release the water, it's cleaner than they bring it in.
Hmm.
And the forest area, I had a tour, it's actually a ecological preserve. So the gold mine is protecting the animals from poachers. It's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, but guess what? You needed money to build this.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a preserve where you are very careful with how you mine, right? And we need gold for people, for jewelry and for, industrial uses. We're gonna mine anyway. You might
Mm-hmm.
as well mine in a very green way and preserving all these. And they used to have a terrible problem with poaching in Guatemala. Well, this family that owns this mine decided to create this reserve. You need money to do that,
Yeah.
to protect. Nope, the animals don't have lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things now, you go there and I walked around and it's all green. It looks like a lush, beautiful jungle. Yes, some places there's, excavators working, but once they're done, all around it is green and clean. And all the pits where they have they're processing the gravel is all lined. So
Hmm.
nothing goes out to them. So bottom line is you need money to change the
Right.
world.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
these things because we hear about these gold mines in Africa, different places where they're using mercury and destroying the environment. That's not, no matter where you are, again, politically or whether you're religious or not religious, we can all agree that putting mercury into the ground
Not
is
a
not
good
a good
idea.
thing.
Yeah.
But you need money. It's cheaper to just do it
Yeah.
a rotten way.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, that's when I was meeting all these wonderful entrepreneurs there, um, who are changing the world. I call them change agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's who I like working with,
Right.
is change agents who want to make, and these guys are making a lot of money. There's no problem with that because if you're already spiritually aligned, once you get through your internal blockages to make money, once you start making money, and it's going to be harder for you because you do want to change the world. There may be it's easier just to make money, go into finance or sell insurance or whatever. If you want to change the world, there may be some bigger roadblocks, but once you break those, the world is your oyster,
Right.
and you can really change the world.
Yeah. One of the things I used to say all the time, and I still do, so I don't know why I say it that way, but anyway, it's that I want to leave the world better from being here. When I'm gone, I want it to be Vickie helped and did this. And that can't happen unless you're actively doing something to help the world. And
No,
right now, I'm in the small world, but my goal is to make it a bigger and bigger and bigger world that I can actually make an effect of. And at this present time, I don't know how far that's going to reach, but
mhm.
we shall see.
Shall
But
see.
it's one of the things that I can say it now without crying, but it used
Mhm.
to, as soon as I would say that, I would just be in tears because it was such a heart thing for me. And
Mhm.
um, so when I hear people that don't want to do anything but just their little neck of the woods, and my heart kind of goes out. Don't you want to, you know? But that's not everybody. And I guess
It's
that's
not
why not
everybody.
everybody's an entrepreneur either, because entrepreneurs tend to want to do more.
Yes. And one way, yes, and not everybody's meant to be. We can all be good stewards of the environment and good stewards of our friends and family. Look, there's a great story. It's a Hasidic tale in Eastern Europe. These Kabbalists, or they're called the Hasidim, and there's an amazing story of um, this person called the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was a famous mystic, and he was meditating one day, and he told all the students, you have to visit this one guy. He is the most elevated person in the world. And they're like, oh my God, who is this? Some hidden mystic. And long story short, the students go to visit this guy, and they see he's just a simple cobbler. He makes shoes. He
Hmm.
fixes shoes. And um, they're like confused, like, this is the big mystic our teacher wanted to go visit, a cobbler. And they go back to their teacher and they go, well, why'd you send us on this pilgrimage to meet this cobbler? And he says, you don't understand. Go back and see what he does. And then I'll tell you more. So he goes back and they watched him cobble, fix shoes, and he had so much happiness. He was so happy about fixing shoes. He was just a poor cobbler. And later, their teacher told them that anybody who got one of his shoes, because he injected it with so much love and happiness, they were happy. They didn't even know why. He transformed the world through fixing shoes.
Hmm.
So our job isn't to, not everybody's going to uh, um,
Move
launch
mountains.
the next Zappos,
Yeah.
right? But we can fix a shoe and do it with love and
Hmm.
attention and caring, and you can feel that energy. And
Yeah,
that's why he was such a great person, because everybody wore shoes, experience. They didn't know why they were so happy. Well, energy transfers.
it
If you put
does.
your love and heart into even fixing something that seems so innocuous, like a shoe, then the person who wears it can feel that.
Yeah,
And that was the
definitely.
lesson of this. So, we're not all here to do huge things, but the little things we do are huge,
True.
right?
Yes,
The
very
little
true.
things.
Yeah.
And just to just to you didn't really ask the question, but the question was like, what are you going to do? One of the questions, I just spoke about this, it's so interesting, is that one of the ways to strategize, and this is where the business strategy comes in. What do you need to do, right, to get big? Like, what do you plan on? How can you change the world? A question you can ask yourself, because people ask that general question. Either
Hmm.
they do either or. Either they, let's say, if they're a business person or an entrepreneur, they do a year, like a 1 year strategic plan. Great.
Right. Hmm.
Or they ask on the other side, what am I going to do with my life? What's my purpose? So there's a question that comes in the middle of that. The question asked is how do you want to look like in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? That's a little more practical, at least for your business. Where do you want your business to be in 10 years? It combines both, like left and right brain thinking. And I always ask entrepreneurs this question. When we first start working, where
Hmm.
do you want to be in 10 years? Because 10 years, anything is possible.
Right.
But it's not so far away, like the end of your life. Like, what do you want written on your tombstone? That seems so
Yeah.
far away.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to think about your tombstone, right?
That's right.
So say, okay, in 2035, Vickie, where do you want your business to be in 2035? That's a very practical question to ask. It's also not practical because anything is possible in 10 years.
Right.
If you want to have 15 million listeners to your podcast, it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And from that question, then, because anything is probable or possible in 10 years, then you work backwards. Okay, to get that thing in 10 years, to make that happen, let's say I want 15 million listeners a month of my podcast, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then to get that, what do you need to do to get there in 5 years? Where do you need to be in 5 years to get to that 10-year goal? And 5 years, where do you need to be in 3 years, and then 1 year, and so forth, right? So you reverse engineer it.
Right.
That's where my like business coaching comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is possible in 10 years. So then I go to people, great. This is your 10-year plan. You want to have, I don't know, 40 million in the bank and 15 million listeners. Great. Let's reverse engineer that. Then it
Right.
makes it a roadmap. Make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I do a similar thing. And so then I go back from there. And then I'm sure from what you're saying, you do is like, okay, if this is this and this and this and this, so what do you do today
Yep.
that puts you on that path? Because a lot of times people have either they don't have a vision for it or it's so um, undecisive.
Yeah, or ethereal. It's like all over
Yeah,
the place.
that
Yeah, yeah. And then I
it's
go,
like
I
there's no
create a year
action for
plan.
today.
Yep.
Yeah,
A year
yeah,
plan and then quarterly plans and weekly. What do you do to make your quarterly plan manifest? That quarterly plan manifest the year and so on and so forth.
yeah,
And you make
yeah,
adjustments.
yeah.
This is where we coaches come into play. People don't have accountability without us, unfortunately, whether it's health coaching or life coaching or business coaching.
Yeah. And
They need
what
a they need a board member
that's right. And what
on
I
U
like to
Inc.
say is that, when you're on a dark road and you got your headlights on, you can only see so many feet in front of you. And so we typically, as individuals, we only have that same vision too. We can't see. We might not see the bridges out up the road and everything, but a coach has got an aerial view, like a drone
Correct.
flying around looking all the time. Wait a minute, opportunities over here, go over here, bridges out over here, avoid that one. And
Correct.
that's what we do for them is help them know what's out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the stuff. And it makes a huge difference to have somebody in your pocket, so to speak, that's helping you. I mean, when you think about it, there's not a top athlete or a top
Correct.
financial uh, influencer that doesn't have some type of coach that's there helping them to see the things that they wouldn't see otherwise.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. The
Yeah.
greatest, the greatest champions always have a team behind them that got them
Mm-hmm.
there,
Yeah.
coaches and
Yeah.
trainers and all that kind of stuff. And, what I find is that when you look at, and this whole notion of the self-made man or woman is a myth in America, there's always people who help that person,
Right.
always people.
Mm-hmm.
And so this burgeoning field of coaching is terrific, especially if you have experience. I would call it more mentoring, let's say at that point, right? But
Right.
especially if you've gone down a path and you've fallen a few times, you can help people so much
Mm-hmm.
because the best way, people think the best way, your mistakes are your best teachers. No, other people's mistakes are your best teachers.
Very
Okay.
true. Very
And I
true.
could tell you after 30, I made a lot of mistakes. So I'm worth a lot of money. The more,
Yeah.
right? You probably too. Like all the mistakes we've made, that's the gold. That's actually our gold mine
Mm-hmm.
to help people. And I encourage anybody who's can help anybody. Mentorship is so important today,
Yeah.
especially because, kids are so disconnected. We are so disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're all on our phones and we're all separated. Even the family dinner is disappearing, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
there used to be a time, you and I probably grew up, we had like one TV in the house, right? Maybe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So even the TV was a place to, gather
Yeah.
and to figure out what are we going to watch today together.
Mm-hmm.
We'd argue about it and blah blah. But at least there was a community,
Yeah.
people together. Today, people are so apart that all these helpers are coming, people like us, um, to assist people in their growth,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know, when I was growing up, every Sunday, my family, my extended family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, we all gathered at my grandmother's house
mm,
and had a big lunch. And of course, we called it dinner, being from the South. And but it was a big thing, and it happened every week. And you got to play with your cousins that you might not see
yep,
that often, but it was all family. And now you don't get those kinds of activities really typically unless it's like
yeah,
a family reunion or something. And let's be honest, those don't happen that much anymore anyway,
they don't
because
happen.
people move away, busy lives, and people can live in a house together and still never see each other. um,
Correct.
so the being able to connect with people is so valuable, so valuable. That's why having a conversation on Zoom, we're not in the same room, but we're still
We're
energetically
connecting.
we're connecting.
We're
Yeah.
totally connecting. And yeah, because also in our country, especially the US is so big, people get jobs different places. It's so easy to lose touch. And some of my fondest memories, I was actually born in the USSR in Ukraine.
Okay. Hmm.
And I remember our family was in a little city. Then parts of my family moved to Budapest and Hungary, and we'd visit them when we were little. Every summer, we'd take time off and visit them, and you see all your cousins and your family, extended family.
Hmm.
That was gold.
Hmm.
But since then, what we've done a few times, because yes, I have family in Europe and Middle East and US all over the place. And we started this, and it was a great thing. We started this during lockdowns, is that we did Zoom reunions.
Yeah. Nice.
And those work, and people are so happy to
Hmm.
get together. And I encourage, if anybody's listening to this, take the initiative, put together a Zoom family reunion. This
Yeah.
is not original to me. Other people are doing it, but it's something you can do once every 3 months, every six
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure all of us have cousins we haven't seen in a year or two or three.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're in the same city. Sure. Even then, sometimes you don't. As you said,
That's
sometimes
true.
you can be in the
Sometimes
same
the closer
house.
you are, the harder it is to get
Yeah.
together.
Even homes, right? Homes used to be 800 square feet,
Yeah.
right? Everybody
Yeah.
was together and they hated each other. But actually, they look back and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, those were fun times when I used to
Yeah.
fight with my brother and sister.
Yeah.
Those are the times I remember. And now people have these big homes and they're all separate and they're all
Hmm.
separate on their phone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
do the Zoom
well,
reunions are amazing.
one of the things that's funny to me when I first moved into this house that I'm in, and it's been like 4 years ago, I don't even remember. But anyway, I thought there were no kids in the neighborhood.
Mm,
None, because I never saw them. Never. I never heard any children. Of course, that was during COVID and everything too, so that was part of it. But I remember the first time I went by a bus stop and there were a whole bunch of kids there, but there was still no sound. They were all on their phones.
on the phones, it's really,
And
yeah.
it was like, and it made me think when I was a kid, we would wait at the bus stop and we would walk into the neighborhood and go to somebody else's house because you didn't want to stand at your bus stop by yourself. So we'd all
Hmm.
collect at one person's house. And then there was talking, there was laughing, there was singing, there was playing, all kinds of things going on before you got on the bus.
Hmm.
So I was blown away with, I never even heard them. I kind of walked up on them and then and there they were, right? And so it's very different. I can say now that, it's been a little past COVID, I do hear them sometimes chatting with one
Hmm.
another, but they're usually looking at their phone and talking about what's on it.
Yeah.
They're not just having conversations. So it's just a very different
Yeah. And they have
dynamic.
their own ecosystem, they
Right.
have, and they're on social media platforms we're not on.
Right.
But I do see, by the way, so I have something in my house I instituted. We keep the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath, so we disconnect from all electronics for
Mm-hmm.
25 hours, Friday
Okay.
sundown till Saturday sundown, and plus 1 more hour, so it's 25 hours. And that's one of those old traditions that's so great for me too, for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Disconnect from electricity, disconnect from the TV,
You don't
disconnect
even do
from your
the
phone.
electricity?
Well, it's on, like the lights are
Oh,
on.
okay. Okay. I
But
was
I
like,
don't turn them on and
man.
off. No, 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 I'm not in the dark. No, I keep the
Okay.
lights on,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know, and I just don't turn
That
them
was a
off. But
visual. It was like, boo.
yeah, we're in the dark. So, but that's a great thing because then you're forced to deal with, so forced to deal with it's so easy to think you have great relationships when everybody's up separate and on the phones.
Mm-hmm.
When you're all together, then you actually have to talk
Yeah.
and you have to work out your problems and you have to be with your emotions, right?
All
And
right.
things come up the best drug we have, right, is the phone
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because you just numb everything. Everything comes up. And sometimes it's hard and it can be boring. Like, what? I can't scroll. I can't get
I
online.
know.
But it's one of the best things, and it's not just me who does it, but it's a wonderful thing actually to disconnect one
So
day
you
out
do
of
that every week?
every week,
Okay. All
every
right.
Saturday, Friday
Yeah.
night till Saturday night, the Sabbath. And
Okay.
it's amazing.
Well,
Man,
I will say I have a little bit of a hard time when, we lose internet for a little while or we lose power and then suddenly it's like, well, I can read a book, I can
yep.
talk, what do I do? And it's like um the one of my I just recently went to a retreat. I have a friend who has a retreat center. You should check it
Mhm.
out. It's in Tennessee,
Mhm.
and it is Wildwood's retreat, and they're
Oh,
off
what do they do?
grid. Yeah, they're
Hmm.
off grid. So when you get there, they've built a dome. They have like this platform area near the water, the
Hmm.
big creek where you can sit out there. They call it Otter Beach. Um, but they have some electricity in their dwelling, but the other places there's not
Wow.
electricity. You can get a power station to run like to plug your phones up for charging if you need to,
Hmm.
but you get there and when it gets dark, it's dark,
That's
right?
it.
And it's like, okay, I used my flashlight to read a little bit and then might as well just go ahead and go to bed. It's dark. And
That's how it used to
it
be when we
was
went to camp.
yeah, it was
That was
it
it.
was amazing because we hiked in nature. We did all these things, and her
Hmm.
whole thing, the reason she started this was she said that entrepreneurs, especially even business people, but entrepreneurs tend to be on all the time,
Yep.
and they need to disconnect for the creativity to flow in
Totally.
their lives. And so, her and her husband quit corporate jobs and everything
Mhm.
and sold everything and went to this property and they've been building on it and creating. So it's fascinating. I'll give
That's
you the
really,
information,
that's
but I'm
fascinating.
telling you, and she has a podcast too.
Oh, that's great. And that's why, I mean, you see, I like reading books. I'm a
Me
big book
too.
nerd. But yes, it's very tempting, right? Especially with TV, especially the phone. It's very easy to have a book you want to read, and before you know it, you're on Facebook or Instagram, and time goes by like that.
Yeah, yeah.
What have I been doing? I'm watching these stupid stories and reels,
I know. I
right?
know.
We all do it. So the Sabbath is great for that. So I actually I recommend for all my clients to find time, what I call it focus time.
Hmm.
Find focus time. If it's not a whole day, that's hard. But find, let's say 3 times a week, 2 hours where you focus on you're thinking things through,
Hmm.
strategizing. Because, especially, and I have a lot of clients who are very, very successful. They come to me actually, they become very successful. They have 3 houses, 8 cars. They made it. They're pulling out $1 million a year or more. You think they made it? No, they have golden handcuffs on.
Hmm.
They're working
Yeah.
80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's not success,
Mm-mm.
you know? So the first thing I do is I know you're already busy to figure out what's most important and strategically how to create a business that will, you know, um, serve you, not you serve the business, is you have to make time for yourself.
Right.
So, and it's very hard for them. I say just start with an hour twice a week. Start with an hour where you can think, where you disconnect. Like now, I put on my airplane mode. You
Hmm.
put on your airplane mode on your phone. You turn off your email. Email is actually has been the worst thing for productivity. It's been shown already. There's a book called The World Without Email,
Mm-hmm.
and the data shows that email has destroyed our productivity. So I
Mm.
tell them, turn off your email. We work with notifications, and if we answer emails, we feel like we're doing our work.
Right.
Well, not if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to grow your business and not, work 80, 90 hours a week. So I tell them you have to turn all that off. You can grab I have notes. I said paper notes,
Yeah.
right there with a
Me
notebook
too.
and start planning out how you want, your week or your month or your 10 years to look like and what's missing, and have time to plan and
Mm-hmm.
have time to read maybe. And it's transformative. And it's the one thing I would say it is the beginning of people changing, especially if they own companies that are successful and are making good money, but they're stuck, right? They're stuck serving this company that they
Right.
built. It is the one thing, the first thing that helps them change and breathe,
Right.
take a step back. I don't teach them meditation, or although I know meditation, all the stuff. And no, that's the meditation, just to
Right.
disconnect, turn on airplane mode. Nothing's gonna, I tell people, unless you're an actual first responder, there's no email, there's no phone call that needs your attention right now.
Right.
Impossible. Unless, again, yes, if you're an emergency room worker, if you're a firefighter, sure, that's a real first responder. Otherwise, you're a contractor, or an accountant or whatever, a CPA. Client can wait. The kitchen that's not perfect, it's not the right color, won't be the right color in an hour, and you'll fix it then.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everybody's a first responder today. And really it was email that really created this mindset that we have to answer things right away. So
Yeah.
in fact, it's good. Maybe it's good to have, you're in the South, we're a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Slow down, take it easy. Molasses.
That's
Look at
it.
molasses.
Well,
People told me, don't, when you're going to Savannah, I'm going to visit Savannah, just, be patient there. They're not going to answer the phone right away. Take a little while. But that's how we should be more. We should be more like
Yeah.
Savannah,
Yeah.
not like, LA or Chicago or New York. I'm from New York. I lived 25 years there. We need to slow down. We know how to be fast. We
Mm-hmm.
need to slow down. And then the more we slow down, actually, I tell my clients, slow down to speed up.
Yeah. Definitely.
Slow down, then you can actually, what it means is you can organize your life. You can
Yeah.
see the forest for the trees.
Right. I
So that's the
actually,
same thing in
yeah.
health coaching, life coaching, business coaching, everything.
Right. I actually had a client, it's been a couple of years ago that um, as I was working with her, I was trying to get her to take some time to connect with herself, right? And she couldn't find any. Finally, it got to the point where my advice to her was I said, "Do you go to the bathroom?" She said,
Hmm.
"Yes." I said, "When you close the door, lock it." I said, "Whether you're washing your hands, brushing your teeth, sitting on the toilet, taking a shower, I don't care. But whatever time you're in there, you spend it with you and stop worrying about everything else." And I said, if that means you're planning on things or whatever, that's okay. But I want you to breathe and slow down and calm down. And in the beginning, that's all she could do was when she went to the bathroom. And then after working with her for a while, she actually started going on like, not every month, but she would go on like a long weekend retreat just for herself. Sometimes she would go with friends. Sometimes she'd just go get a hotel in her own town
Hmm.
by herself just to kind of
Date
disconnect
with
from
yourself.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is amazing how people just get so busy that they can't find any of that time for themselves.
Yeah. And well, I see this especially with entrepreneurs, and I see this also, let's face it, moms and women work still harder. They're expected to, you know, take care of the kids. They do more. Even like I know I'm a good dad, a good husband. My wife does more. So I see this even a lot more with female entrepreneurs who
Mm-hmm.
have all the responsibilities of motherhood, raising their children, raising their husband,
Yeah.
and they have a business. And so it's even harder for them because they have so much more responsibility. And the more things change, the more things stay the same. Women still end up doing much more. They have more responsibilities. And so I asked them, just please just, but we also had this, we have an open door policy. Every company is open door. You can contact me anytime. We think that we're being sharing by having an open door policy. We think we're being sharing by saying, I'll answer the call whenever you call me. And that actually destroys your productivity.
Hmm.
And it's the hardest thing. I remember I did it once with a really high-powered lawyer, an attorney who's super successful. I told her every day, and she had a staff she worked with, told her again, close your door for an hour and tell everybody they can't contact you for an hour. And it was terrifying to her. And it was terrifying. I don't know, it was terrifying staff. She was terrified that her whole world will be destroyed.
Collapse. Yeah.
And I called her after the first day. How'd it go? What happened? Nothing. I closed my door and, I was by myself and it was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
see, nothing happened. You're an
Yeah.
attorney. You're not working, at the police station. Okay. And she happened to be a criminal attorney, whatever. So she was connected with us, but there's no emergency that they need you.
Yeah.
You can just close your door for an hour.
Yeah.
Tell people between 12 and 1 o'clock, I'm not available.
Right.
And then and they said, well, what if somebody still needs me? So we created, a plan when somebody needs to do something. But she instituted this hour a day where it was just her.
Hmm.
And another thing I tell people, even during their lunch, um, well, a couple things. So another law firm, um, they started instituting walking meetings. They went outside there in Tallahassee, which is a very nice area, good weather all year round. And pretty much, right? You can always
Hmm.
pretty much go outside in Tallahassee. It's one of those places. Like Georgia, a lot of places. It's mild all year. Either it's very hot or it's mild, but you can always go outside. Typically there's no snowstorms. And they started instituting walking meetings. Like, what do you know? And so like the office manager will go out with one of the associates to have a meeting, go outside, take a walk. And they're like a nice, cute little downtown area. Walk and do your meeting while you're walking. And they started having fun. And they never had fun. And everybody, was active, right? Their endorphins would get going. And so many times we're sitting, even from the same office, people, please go out. First of all, you can go outside for 5 minutes, take a walk. But a lot of people could take a walking meeting. And so it's one of those things I suggest. Again, that's not
Hmm.
can't force anybody, but this law firm started doing it and it transformed everything because
Yeah.
people were getting their steps in, they were outside, they were getting a little suntan, they were feeling good, they were breathing, and they were taking care of business.
Yeah. Sounds perfect.
So, there's all sorts of things we can do to become more mindful and connect with ourselves really and
Hmm.
connect with people better,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just one example.
Well, one of the things that's coming to mind as you're talking about that is one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs, especially, to have is boundaries and of their time, everything. And I worked with a woman. We were co-facilitating some stuff, and I was telling her, we had this workshop coming up and we were doing some planning and everything. And I said, "Well, I have time on Saturday evening after that." She said, "No, no." She said, "I don't do Saturdays or Sundays. That's family time."
Mm-hmm.
What? That was so foreign to me.
She's an
She said,
entrepreneur.
"Yeah." And she didn't do, like, she had this boundary, no Saturdays, no Sundays. And then at a certain time in the evening, she cut it off and it didn't matter what you needed. It happened the next day. And I was just in awe of how she stuck to that boundary. And she said, and this was what got me. She said, "When I started my business, I wanted a business that gave me more freedoms. I did
Mm-hmm.
not want to get another 9 to 11 job
Yep.
because you never do a 9 to 5. And she said, so I didn't want to do that. And so I started this way. So I don't implement it all the time, but I do try to have those clearer boundaries now. And sometimes I'll step outside of those boundaries if I feel like it's going to benefit me. And
Hmm.
I wouldn't sit there and worry about the fact that I didn't do the thing, you know. But it was mind blowing that that one thing made her have the business that she always wanted, exactly the way she wanted
Hmm.
it. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, when entrepreneurs start businesses, right, we start a business because we love doing something, right? We're really good craftspeople at something. And
Hmm.
so people start a job, people create a job for themselves, right?
Right.
But then you have to do your bookkeeping, you have to hire people, you have to do all these other things to run a business. So it becomes all consuming,
Right.
right? And you end up, you used to have a job, you could get a job as a candlestick maker, but if you have a business as a candlestick maker, you have to do all this other stuff,
Right.
right,
Right.
to run a business. So, you're like working 80 hours. And that is the where people find themselves, especially when they become successful,
Hmm.
because then they have staff, et cetera, et cetera. They have all these clients and vendors and all these different stakeholders. So that's why this question of where do you want to be in 10 years is so important to start with what do you want to create? So
Hmm.
even if you are in a place where you're working too many hours and there's no boundaries, you start with the big plan. And then you go in and you find, an hour or two a week. And then yes, like I do with the Sabbath and other things, you can start slowly creating boundaries. And as you do, you realize the world didn't fall apart.
I know.
If you clock off at 5, nothing's gonna happen. You're not an emergency room doctor.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not an emergency room doctor. So and part of it is going inward and and taking time to rec trying to make a plan about what's most important to you. So actually, if you don't, I have a manual, a workbook
Okay.
on my site. It's called the Inner CEO, completely free. People
Okay.
can download it. It's okay if I promote it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely.
you know,
And just really quick, if when we get off here, if you'll send me the links to
sure,
anything
of
you want
course.
on there, I'll put it in the description so people
I
can get to it
appreciate
very
that.
easily.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. If people go to spiritualbiz.org, there's some videos some webinars I've made available, and there's one called the Inner CEO. Again, spiritualbiz.org. And it's a complete workbook, a manual, different sort of, I would say, exercises and meditations to figure out how do you grow from the inside out. Part of that is to know really what you want, not just be scattered like we were talking about, right? Doing
Hmm.
a million things, running around like a chicken with their head cut off.
Right.
That's no way to live life, and
Mm-mm.
that's no way to build a business.
Right.
But it first goes, people go, how do you build a business? Teach me, Andy, marketing and do all this stuff. No. First, you got to go inside, especially if you already have kind of a middling business or you have a business that's kind of working. You have to take a step back and figure out what it is you want. The real CO, it all happens on the inside. So this is I put together, and it's a lot of stuff from Kabbalah that I've taken and I've used. I can trust the Kabbalah because it's been around for 4,000 years.
Hmm.
It's very thorough and it has a lot of great philosophy and principles in it. But I bring it down because many of the Kabbalistic books are very esoteric and hard to understand,
Right.
without a teacher.
Hmm.
So I have this manual for everybody so they can start where they're at and grow from there and understand that really you start with growth from the inside and figure out what it is you want.
Right.
So that's, just my free gift to everybody in the world
Perfect.
and they can take it from there. It has everything in it.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. So, like I said, I will put the
I appreciate
description
that.
in there and as well. But I got one of the things that when did you get fascinated with the Kabbalah?
Um, Great question. S- Uh, you know, I went to like religious school growing up, and I always had
Meaning,
questions. Like Jew, I grew up Jewish. I would go to like
okay,
Hebrew school,
okay.
and um, and I would ask deep questions, and nobody had any answers. I
Hmm.
realized the teachers didn't know themselves. I always had questions,
Yeah.
and later in life too, in college and so forth, and then graduate school. The really deep questions about life, nobody had answers to. It was very frustrating. Um, and especially with, I left religion behind. I left, like my Jewish faith behind because I saw all these people don't know anything. These rabbis and group, they don't know anything. And when I found the Kabbalah, actually, I was 21 years old. I found a flyer on the street in New York City. It was a free class in Kabbalah. I went and so I was 21 years old. And I went to this class, and the first thing they said is, don't believe anything we say, and you can ask any question. I thought this was great because especially if you're religious or you grow up, or our parents were religious, but they sent me to a religious school, there's things you can't ask, right?
Right,
Not
right.
allowed.
I
Not allowed
know.
to ask that. You just believe because
Yeah,
it's written,
yeah. Because we said so, kind of
because
thing.
we said so, right? And I'm not that kind of guy. So I thought that was BS.
Hmm.
And he said, ask any question, but so that was already, wow, that's great that there's actually a philosophy that asks you, or a spiritual path that allows you to ask any question, but there are also answers. And that's what I loved about it, is that you could ask questions, and through this 4,000 years of knowledge, there were answers to all these deep questions. Why am I here? Why was the universe created? What's my purpose in the world? All these deep questions that many of us have. It answered it. So I was hooked, and since then, that was over 30 years ago. I've been studying it with different teachers and reading the books and always working with people who know more than me in Kabbalah. And then, of course, with my love of business, I combined the two. And
Hmm.
again, I realized when I started this conversation that it adds a whole other layer
Hmm.
to my business consulting and coaching, this 4,000-year-old body of knowledge. But I found it was basically because nobody wanted to answer my questions. No, I couldn't even ask most places, what's the meaning of life?
Right.
Why? Why are we here? Why does suffering exist? Why am I depressed? What's the, Nobody can answer those questions,
Yeah.
and it was the one place where I could ask those questions and I got great answers.
Beautiful.
So,
I love that. Yeah. I was just kind of curious. I'm familiar with the Kabbalah, but as far as knowing what's in there, couldn't tell you.
yeah.
So just really quick, what is your favorite book if somebody's thinking that they would kind of like to dive in a little bit and just explore it some? Is there a
Yeah.
favorite book for like maybe a beginner that might be
Sure. There's
a recommendation?
there's a book you can get on Amazon called The Power of Kabbalah by
Okay.
Yehuda Berg. It's basically an intro course in a book.
Hmm.
Very easy to understand. Um, and it's the kind of book that actually I've given to CEOs. Again, I work with a lot of business owners, and they end up buying 30 copies for all their friends
Hmm.
because it's very, very practical. And what I like, the power of Kabbalah, I like about it, it's not about religion. You'll see, because again, it predates religion.
Right.
There's nothing religious about it. It's about understanding who we are, why we were created, why are we here. The meaning of it's so interesting with Kabbalah. The meaning of life is actually revealed right away because when you like, that's one of the first things you learn.
Okay.
Why are we here and who we are? And then from that, just because why are we here and the universe was created, that's just the beginning. Now,
Hmm.
what are you going to do with that
Right.
information?
Right.
How are you going to make the world a better place? So, but The Power of Kabbalah is an excellent book. I can't
Okay.
recommend it enough.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we're getting close to time. And so, as I said when we got started, I didn't have any specific questions to ask or
Uh-huh.
anything like that. So, Is there something before we got on the call that you really wanted to make sure that you expressed or you asked or said that we haven't touched on that you want to make sure you don't leave this um, recording without having
Mhm.
said it?
Well, no, I think it was an incredible conversation we've had. I know we could talk for all
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
right? But I would say is that especially for people starting um, starting businesses or already have started a business, right? Because that's where I play. I play in this entrepreneurial world. Very important to not to look for answers outside of yourself, but first look within all the issues, all of the challenges you have. Find somebody, if you, maybe you can do it by yourself or find a coach to work with, like you or I, somebody or a mentor to look within and see where, what are you not seeing? The greatest danger we have, and this is something I work on myself all the time, is what we don't know, we don't know.
right,
So you need to find yourself a different perspective and keep searching, kind of like what I did, right? With found magically, right? I was asking questions, I couldn't answer, nobody gave me answers, and I found a flyer on the street for a Kabbalah course,
yeah,
and that changed my life. So keep looking because
yeah,
you'll know your soul and your heart. You'll know when you find it, right? But know it's an internal process, and that's really the key. I think that's what I want to leave your viewers with and your listeners is that always look within first
right.
and understand all your challenges, all your triggers, all your pain is there to teach you something and to grow from the inside out.
Right.
So hope that makes
Beautiful.
sense.
It
That's
does.
my
It
story,
does.
and
And
I'm
you're
sticking
sticking
to
with.
it.
Well, I like to say, and it's not like I came up with this terminology, I've heard it before, but I definitely agree with it that our outer world is a symptom of whatever is going on inside. And
Correct.
so it's not the cause, that's the symptom.
Yep.
And so a lot of times people start wanting to put a band-aid on the symptom instead of going and finding the cause. Because let's face it, sometimes finding that cause can feel kind of,
It's tough. Yeah.
it can be tough.
Yep.
But I would tell everybody that's watching and listening that it is well worth the effort because it's just like if
Absolutely.
you've got a cut on your arm, you can just leave it alone and it might get infected. You could do all these things, but if you do something to take care of it and figure out, is there something stuck in there? What's going on? And then it'll heal. And you can
Correct.
have so much in your life if you allow yourself to explore this inner world.
Exactly. Yeah. And Kabbalah is all about cause and effect.
Yeah.
Cause is always something within.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for us, right? So easy to blame the outside and look
Mm-hmm.
at the effect and go, that's the cause.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we get, let's say, in a relationship or something, right? Oh, that
Yeah.
woman was the problem. You
That's
divorce her,
right.
now you get married to another woman, and it's the
Same
same
thing.
stuff,
Yeah.
same shit.
Same shit, different day.
Exactly, different woman, or whatever it is, or a
Yeah.
job, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, oh, unfortunately, I wish there was my teacher, Rabbi Berg, Philip Berg, he would say, if there was a pill I could take that would make me happy all the time, I would take it. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, some
Mhm.
people would still procrastinate on taking it. So,
Yeah, but if there's something, but there's no pill,
yeah,
there's nothing
that's
that
true.
can fix what you need to do from the inside. So,
Yeah.
that's the work.
That's it. And that's
That's it.
beautiful. So thank you so much for being here today. It has
Absolutely.
been a great pleasure. And so everybody that's watching, listening, just make sure you check out the description and get a way to reach Andrew. And you can also, there'll be things there. So how you can reach out to me. And please like, subscribe, share this with someone because the
Absolutely.
thing is that like you were talking about that little flyer that you found, this found whoever is watching and listening right now. And there may be somebody that's looking for that exact thing. So share it out to anyone that you know so that not only can you affect your friends, your family, or whoever, but we can actually give Andrew the lift and the support for being on here with me. So I really appreciate
Appreciate
it
that.
very, very much.
Love
All
it.
right,
Thank you, Vickie.
guys.
This was great. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.